And one more campaign story. The Commission on Presidential Debates has selected moderators for 3 presidential debates and 1 between the vice presidential candidates this fall. Our own Jim Lehrer will moderate the first on October 3rd in Denver. It centers on domestic issues. The second will be a town meeting moderated by Candy Crowley of CNN on October 11th on Long Island. Bob Schieffer of CBS News will do the third forum on October 22nd in Boca Raton, Florida, focused on foreign policy. The vice presidential debate will be moderated by Martha Raddatz of ABC News on October 16th in Danville, Kentucky. Jim has presided over 11 presidential and vice presidential debates beginning in 1988, and he authored a book about them last year titled Tension City, Inside the Presidential Debates from Kennedy-Nixon to Obama-McCain. Jeff sat down with Jim earlier this afternoon.
So, Jim, the invitation comes to you. Were you surprised? And you know, you've said in the past, no more. So why did you agree this time?
Well, I agreed because of the format. The commission, over a period of weeks, worked on a format that is new and has the potential for being terrific, which is more open. And it's going to be 6 segments, 15 minutes each. And there'll be a question and answer at the beginning of each segment, but the rest of the time is open time. And it encouraged the candidates to address each other and question each other. And it was an opportunity, something that I very much believed in and was asked by the commission way back in the spring as a person who was not going to be participating in the debates.
Just to think about how to do it.
There were several ideas. They had a meeting of the commission, not to make any decisions, but just to kind of gather information. And I was asked to come just as a resource. And one of the questions they asked me was about this idea of the 15-minute segments, and I said it was terrific.
Well, because we've talked about this when your book came out. I mean, and I know that, you know, we talked about all the different formats. There have been frustrations with all of them, right?
Sure.
And you said before that you like a more freewheeling, open, when they can really engage with each other.
And that's what this has the potential. In fact, it is ready-made, and the opportunity for me to see if I could make this work was too inviting. I had said, you know, as you know, I had said no more. I've done my 11. I have the psychic scars to show. It's hard. It's hard work.
What did you say before? It was walking the knife's edge without
exactly walking on the blade of a sharp knife. And I've done that. And but this one, I'm not suggesting that it was all for goodness and mercy reasons. It was exciting to me when finally confronted with the invitation, confronted with the opportunity to do this was exciting, and I could not say no.
Now, of course, major news in the campaign, and we're covering it throughout the show today with the announcement of Paul Ryan as Mitt Romney's running mate. And, you know, a lot of the early commentary is about this setting up more of a real debate about the role and size of government. Now, you're looking at a debate that will be over domestic policy,
That's right?
So how do you, and I know it's early, so you just started to think about this, but mining for themes, mining for information, what will you be looking at, do you think?
Well, most of it is fairly obvious. I mean, one of the things that has already crystallized are some very, very stark differences between what these 2 sets of candidates have in mind for the country for the next 4 years. Obama, Biden, if they're reelected, Romney, Ryan, if they are elected. And what my job will be, strictly, is to engage on those stark differences. And so this is being done for the voters. This isn't a television program. These are not people out there watching for ratings. These are people who are deciding for whom to vote for President of the United States. And my job is strictly to help the candidates explain in a way that the voters understand what the choices really are.
Help the candidates do that.
Yes, the candidates need to be able to explain it, need to be able to explain their positions, and such. But it's in a way that is understandable, and that is, and there's enough time there for the moderator. In the case of the first debate, which I'll be moderating, time for me to kind of probe and ask follow-ups and try to get them to engage and all of that. But remember, it's being done for the voters. That's it. That's what it's all about.
You know, we talk all the time these days about doing politics, doing the news media in the age of social media,
Sure.
right? In the age of 24-hour cycle, instant everything, right? Do you think that the role of the debates changes at all in this era, either more or less important?
I don't know whether it's more or less important. I know they're extremely important because one thing has not changed. All the social media stuff in the world, it's going to be, in my state, use the October 3rd, the first debate. And that 90 minutes, it'll be the first time that these two candidates for president will be sitting or standing side by side talking about the same things. And social media will play an input role going in and an output role coming out, no question about it, in terms of reaction and all of that. But what the people are going to see and hear are the real words of these two real men talking. And that has nothing to do with the social media. The social media has a lot to do, as I say, with the build-up and how it plays, et cetera, and how, because these things tend to have an awful lot of life afterward, and social media will be part of the life afterward, but the event itself will be old-fashioned in the best sense of the word.
And that's how you judge success, right? Is by the degree to which they engage and people see that.
Absolutely right. And they see the differences. Okay, now I know what my choice is. Boom. He's in favor of this, he's not in favor of that. That's what I feel, etc. Put your own views in the context of what these two men believe and say they will do, specifically what they will do. One case if re-elected and the other case if elected.
Okay, October 3rd in Denver, the first presidential debate. Jim, you're looking forward to this?
Absolutely, I am. I'm excited about it.
All right, Jim Lehrer, thanks.
Thank you.
Jeff interviewed Jim last year about his book, Tension City. Find that and a link to the documentary Debating Our Destiny on our website. We'll be back shortly with a look at the power shift in Egypt. But first, this is Pledge Week on PBS. This break allows your public television station to ask for your support. And that support helps keep programs like ours on the air.